It was an ordinary Thursday evening when Max, a golden retriever with more energy than sense, trotted in through the back door of the small house at the edge of Maple Street. His tail wagged furiously, brushing against the kitchen counter as he dropped something strange at the feet of his owner. Tom Harper, a man in his early 30s with a calm demeanor and a love for tinkering with electronics, looked down. "Max, what did you find now?" he asked, crouching to pick up the object. At first he thought it was a toy, perhaps a glowing ball of some sort, left behind by a neighbor's child. But as he picked it up, he realized it was far from ordinary. The thing in Max's mouth was small, almost the size of a toddler, with soft, luminescent skin that shimmered like liquid silver in the dim kitchen light. Its eyes were enormous and deep purple, glowing faintly in the shadow of the room. It looked at Tom with a mixture of fear and curiosity, tilting its tiny head as if studying him. What are you?" Tom whispered, his voice a mix of awe and disbelief. He instinctively took a step back, but Max nudged the creature gently with his nose, as if assuring it that they were friendly. The little being didn't speak, at least not in any language Tom recognized. Instead, it reached out with tiny, delicate hands, and a soft hum resonated from its body, filling the room with a gentle, almost musical vibration. Tom felt it in his chest, a strange warmth that made his hair stand on end. Okay, he muttered, sitting down on the floor to make himself less intimidating. Max sat beside him, alert but relaxed, as if he already understood that this little visitor meant no harm. The glowing creature shifted slightly, then crawled toward Tom with surprising speed, its movements graceful despite its tiny frame. When it reached his lap, it clung to him, burying its head against his chest. Tom's heart raced. "All right, little one, you're safe here. I don't know who you are, but we'll figure this out." Max wagged his tail, and for the first time the creature made a sound that resembled a soft laugh. He tried calling the authorities, but as soon as he took out his phone, the little being twitched, and a strange interference scrambled the signal. The screen flickered and went dark. Even the Wi-Fi router in the kitchen hummed and then shut off, leaving the house in eerie silence except for Max's soft panting. "Well, that's inconvenient," Tom said, scratching the back of his neck. He looked down at the creature, who was now watching him with wide, expectant eyes. There was intelligence there, clearly, and an awareness far beyond any animal he had ever met. The night passed slowly. Tom stayed on the floor, talking gently to the little alien, trying to understand how it thought or what it needed. Max stayed as well, guarding them both. By midnight, the creature had calmed and was resting in Tom's lap, occasionally glancing around the room with curiosity. Tom couldn't help but feel a protective instinct he had never experienced before. By morning, the sun filtered through the blinds, painting the room in gold. The alien stirred and reached out a hand toward the window. Tom followed its gaze and noticed the sky filled with tiny, shimmering shapes far above, something like stars, but moving differently, almost as if they were alive. The little girl tilted her head and made a soft sound, pointing at the shapes. Tom frowned, trying to make sense of it. You're not from around here, are you?" he murmured. The creature didn't answer in words, but the glow from its eyes pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat in conversation. Tom felt a strange connection, an understanding that went beyond speech. Somehow he knew it was scared and it was alone. After breakfast, he tried to feed it, though he wasn't sure what it ate. The little being examined the human food carefully, sniffing at it, then touching it lightly with glowing fingertips before moving away. Tom realized that whatever it consumed was probably very different from anything on Earth. Still, he left it a small portion of fruits, hoping it would at least nibble. It did hesitantly, and Tom allowed himself a small sigh of relief. By noon, the creature began to mimic him in small ways, sitting, leaning, even mimicking a smile. It was like a game of learning, each of them trying to understand the other. Tom felt a strange sense of pride and wonder. Here was a being from another world, trusting him enough to copy his gestures to share his space. And yet he knew that trust was fragile. The afternoon brought new challenges. When Tom tried to step outside for a moment, he realized the little alien had a keen curiosity about the world. It tried to follow him, and when he hesitated, it let out a soft cry. Max barked sharply, as if scolding Tom for thinking of leaving it alone. Tom laughed softly. All right. You're staying with us for now." Tom watched them both and felt a deep sense of connection. This was more than just a strange encounter. It was the beginning of a relationship. In the evening, there was a knock at the door. Tom froze. He hadn't expected anyone, but someone had clearly noticed unusual activity in the neighborhood. Heart pounding, he peeked through the blinds. No one was there. Only the soft glow of the alien girl and the dim streetlights. He exhaled. Okay, maybe I'm just imagining things. Not just to protect her, but to understand her, to help her find a place in a world she had never known. Sleep came late that night. The alien girl nestled against his chest, Max's warm body pressed to their side. Tom lay awake, thinking about the impossible situation he now faced. He was just one man, but he now held the life of a creature from another world in his hands. And somehow he felt ready. Humanity had faced challenges before. Humans had survived, adapted, and overcome. Maybe, just maybe, he could do it again. Then, as he drifted off, the alien girl stirred. She reached out a tiny hand and touched his face, leaving a faint glow on his skin. Tom woke suddenly, blinking at her. She looked at him, eyes wide, and then made a soft sound that resembled laughter. Max wagged his tail as if laughing too. Tom smiled, heart swelling with a mix of fear, awe, and something he couldn't quite name. "You're lucky, little one," he whispered. "Max and I will take care of you." A human, a dog, and a lost alien girl who would soon call him something he had never expected. Dad. Outside, the stars twinkled, and somewhere far away, a small ship drifted silently through space. Somewhere, someone was looking for her. But for now, she was home. And Max, wagging his tail, seemed to understand more than anyone that life was about to get a lot more extraordinary. The next morning, the little alien stirred earlier than usual. The first rays of sunlight filtered through the blinds, glinting off her soft, silver skin, making her look almost like a living jewel. She blinked her large purple eyes and tilted her head, watching Tom as he poured coffee in the kitchen. Max sat beside her, tail wagging as if to say good morning, though he didn't need words. Tom sipped his coffee slowly, unsure how to start communicating with her. "All right," he said, speaking gently. "I don't know your name, I don't know where you're from, but I do know one thing, you're safe here." The alien girl made a soft, melodic hum in response, tilting her head curiously. Max barked once and padded over to Tom, nudging his hand with his nose. Tom laughed softly. "You're on my side, huh, Max?" He looked back at the girl, who slowly extended a tiny hand toward him. Tom hesitated, then reached out. The moment their hands touched, a wave of warmth spread through him, and the soft hum she made grew louder, almost musical. It was more than communication, it was connection. Tom realized that she didn't speak any human language, but she could understand emotions. Joy, fear, calm, he could convey all of it just by being patient, steady, and kind. The morning passed slowly as Tom experimented with gestures and expressions. He pointed to himself. "Tom," he said. The alien girl repeated the gesture, pointing to him. Then she pointed to herself, making a soft, cooing sound. Tom laughed. "Okay, we'll call you. Let's just see what fits, all right." "Lumi," she repeated softly. As the day went on, he began showing her small things, objects in the house, pictures in books, the backyard garden. She touched everything with curiosity, glowing faintly as if absorbing knowledge from the objects themselves. Max followed her every step, always alert, always protective. At one point, Lumi gently touched a flower and it perked up, leaves stretching as though it were waking from sleep. Tom froze, astonished. You healed it," he whispered. He looked at Lumi in disbelief. The little girl nodded, a soft hum rising from her chest. He realized slowly, a mixture of fear and awe swelling in him, that she had abilities far beyond human understanding. And yet she was still a child, vulnerable and trusting. By late afternoon, Tom had built a small set of routines to help Lumi feel safe. He fed her carefully, leaving small portions of fruits and vegetables, and even tried mixing them with water in a shallow dish. She examined it cautiously, then touched it lightly with her glowing fingers. When she tasted it, her eyes sparkled and a melodic trill escaped her lips. Tom smiled. "Good girl, you're learning." Lumi's attention snapped to the window, her small body tensing. She let out a soft, warning hum and the air in the room seemed to vibrate. "What is it?" Tom asked softly. He didn't want to startle her. She pointed to the sky with one tiny hand, then to herself, and then back to him. It was a warning. Someone or something was searching for her. Tom's mind raced. He had suspected that authorities might be curious, but now he realized it could be something far beyond Earth. He knelt beside Lumi. "All right, we need to be careful," he whispered. Max barked once, growled low, as if he understood the seriousness of the moment. He decided to teach her a few simple gestures for safety. A hand up meant stay, a hand down meant follow. She learned quickly, her glowing eyes focusing intently on him. By the time night fell, Lumi could follow these instructions almost instinctively. Tom marveled at her intelligence. Humanity had faced countless challenges, but adaptability, patience, and observation, those were strengths humans had in abundance. and he intended to use all of them. Later, when he sat on the couch, Lumi climbed into his lap. She rested her small head against his chest, her soft hum filling the quiet room. Max curled up beside them. Tom ran his hand over Lumi's hair, soft, almost silken and warm. Despite the strangeness, despite the danger looming beyond the house, he felt a profound sense of connection. Then the doorbell rang. Tom froze. It was late at night, too late for visitors. He glanced at Lumi, who stiffened, her small body glowing faintly. Max growled low, a warning rumble that vibrated through the floorboards. Tom's heart pounded. He cautiously peeked through the blinds. Outside, no one was there, only the quiet street bathed in moonlight. "Probably just someone lost," he whispered to Lumi, but she wasn't convinced. She made a soft warning hum, moving closer to him. Tom knew instinctively that they weren't alone, not in the ordinary sense. Something or someone was tracking her. The next morning, he decided to test how much Lumi could understand. He held up a ball and tossed it gently toward Max. Lumi's eyes followed it, and she reached out, catching it midair. Tom clapped softly. "Good job," he laughed, then tossed it again. This time she handed it back, her tiny hands glowing slightly with excitement. She was learning, understanding, interacting, human and alien, teaching each other without words. Later, as he worked on repairing a small drone in his workshop, Lumi explored nearby. She touched the drone, and it hummed differently, almost as if responding to her presence. Tom realized she had some form of energy control, subtle but powerful. Max barked at the humming machine, then looked at Tom, who shrugged helplessly. "I guess she's smarter than my gadgets," he said, laughing. By afternoon, the pattern became clear. Lumi responded to emotion, gestures, and tone more than words. Tom found that calm, steady actions worked best. He could convey comfort and safety through simple routines, offering food, showing gentle gestures, sitting quietly, and letting her explore. The alien girl was learning fast, absorbing, adapting, and trusting. Humanity had a strange power in this, the ability to teach, guide, and bond without needing complex technology or language. But the shadows of danger remained. Every so often, the hum of nearby drones could be faintly heard, or a glimmer would flicker outside the window. Lumi would stiffen, glowing brighter, warning Tom of approaching threats. He had begun to plan contingencies, escape routes, hidden spots in the house, and even simple traps to delay intruders. Max was his partner in this, alert, loyal, and surprisingly clever. That night, Tom realized something unexpected. Lumi had begun calling him something. Though she didn't yet speak words, her small hands reached out to touch his chest, her gaze fixed on him. The glow of her eyes pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat, synchronized with his own. It wasn't human speech, but it carried meaning, trust, connection, and an unspoken bond. "You're safe with me, Lumi," he whispered, his voice catching slightly. "No matter what comes, I won't let anyone take you." She responded with a soft trill, pressing closer, her small hands gripping his shirt. Max wagged his tail, resting his head against her. For the first time, Tom allowed himself to imagine life with her, not as a visitor or an intruder, but as a member of the family. He felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. Humanity was resilient. Humans adapted, learned, and protected what they loved. And right now, he had a reason to embody all of those qualities. Outside, the night air was cool and still. Somewhere far above, ships or drones moved silently, tracking a signal only they could sense. But inside, in a small home on Maple Street, an ordinary man, a golden retriever, and a small lost alien girl were forming a bond that no one, no matter how advanced, could easily break. By the time he went to bed, Tom had a plan. He would keep her safe, teach her, and figure out how to communicate more fully. And maybe, just maybe, he could show her that humans, despite all their flaws, were capable of kindness, ingenuity, and love. Max curled up at the foot of the bed, Lumi nestled beside him, and for the first time the little home felt complete. Tomorrow they would start learning together in earnest. Tom wasn't sure what challenges awaited, but he knew this much. He wasn't just her protector. He was becoming her family, and in the process he would discover a truth that humans had known for centuries. The strength of the human spirit, when paired with care, courage, and curiosity, could overcome even the unknown. And somewhere, far above the planet, faint signals pulsed from the stars. Someone was searching for Lumi. But for now, she had found a place on Earth. She had found Max. And she had found Tom. They were a family. The next morning, Tom woke to the sound of Max growling softly. He opened his eyes and saw Lumi standing by the window, her small hands pressed against the glass. Her purple eyes glowed faintly, scanning the sky with intense focus. Tom rubbed his eyes and looked outside. At first, everything seemed normal. Trees swayed gently in the wind, a few birds chirped. But then he noticed it, a faint shimmer in the distance, moving against the backdrop of clouds. "They're here," he whispered. Lumi's glow brightened as if confirming his words. Max barked low, his ears twitching, clearly sensing something unusual. Tom knew he had to act fast. He grabbed a backpack and filled it with essentials: water, some food, a first aid kit, and a few of his electronics gadgets. Lumi followed, humming softly, touching the items with curiosity. She didn't fully understand their use yet, but Tom hoped she could sense their purpose. Max wagged his tail, then barked sharply as if to say, "Let's go." Lumi followed quietly, her glowing form dimming slightly to blend with the shadows. Tom crouched behind a bush and watched the shimmer grow closer. It was not human, too precise, too silent. A drone-like object hovered, scanning the area with bright lights. He felt his heart pound, but he forced himself to stay calm. Panicking would only put them in danger. Max growled again, low and threatening. Tom placed a hand on his head. "Easy, boy, let's give them a little surprise." He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small device he had been tinkering with, a homemade jammer that could interfere with simple scanners. He switched it on, and the drone's lights flickered. The object hovered erratically for a moment before retreating slightly. Lumi watched with wide eyes, her hum rising in excitement. Tom smiled. "See, humans can be clever too." She reached out and touched his hand, glowing softly as if acknowledging his ingenuity. They waited for hours, watching the sky for any sign of the drone. Tom knew they couldn't stay in one place forever. He needed a plan, not just to hide, but to protect Lumi. He thought of his small workshop in the garage. With tools, wires, and a little creativity, he could create barriers, decoys, and alarms that would give them an edge if anyone tried to take her. By afternoon, he had constructed a simple alarm system, motion sensors connected to lights and small noisemakers hidden around the backyard. Lumi helped in her own way, touching the wires and humming. To Tom's amazement, her touch seemed to charge the system slightly, making the lights glow brighter and the sensors more sensitive. She was small, but she was becoming a powerful ally. As they worked, Tom reflected on how extraordinary this situation was. An ordinary man, a dog, and a small alien girl were now facing unknown threats from advanced forces. Humanity had survived for millennia by adapting, thinking, and cooperating, and now in this quiet suburban backyard, those same traits were their greatest weapons. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the shimmer returned. This time it was not alone. Several drone-like objects circled overhead, their lights scanning relentlessly. Tom realized they had found them. He grabbed Lumi's hand gently. "Stay calm," he whispered. "We can do this." Bright lights flashed, noisemakers went off, and the small jammer he had created scrambled the drone's signals. The drone faltered, its lights flickering, and Lumi reached out instinctively. A soft hum resonated from her chest, and the air seemed to ripple. The drone wobbled and then spun away, retreating as if unable to handle the combined effect of human ingenuity and alien ability. Tom couldn't help but grin. "See, Lumi, you and humans make a great team." She touched his cheek, glowing warmly, and Tom felt a surge of pride. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or numbers, it was in courage, creativity, and the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. They spent the night in the hidden backyard, keeping watch. Lumi learned quickly. She could sense danger, and Tom taught her simple signals: raise a hand to warn, crouch low to hide, or stay close for protection. By morning, she was moving almost instinctively, following the rules with precision that amazed him. Max was her constant companion, guiding her with barks and gentle nudges. The following day, Tom realized they needed to think beyond hiding. The drones would return, and eventually someone would try more aggressive measures. He decided to create decoys, small glowing objects that could mimic Lumi's energy signature. Using old electronics, fiber optics, and some of Lumi's subtle energy, he created 3 small devices that glowed faintly. He scattered them around the backyard. When the drones came again, the decoys confused them. Several drones hovered over the fake signals while Tom, Lumi, and Max slipped out the back, moving quietly toward a small wooded area nearby. They paused at the edge of the trees, catching their breath. Lumi's glow dimmed, and she leaned against Tom, exhausted from the day's tension. Tom looked around the forested area. It wasn't much, but it offered cover, mobility, and space to plan. He knew he couldn't keep her hidden here forever, but every moment they bought gave them time to adapt. Humanity's power lay not just in hiding, but in outthinking the threat. He had survived challenges before, and now he would face one unlike any other, with a loyal dog and an extraordinary child by his side. That night, as they settled under a large tree, Tom taught Lumi how to communicate through patterns of light and sound. She mimicked him quickly, her soft hums growing in complexity. Max lay nearby, alert but relaxed. The little alien was learning, adapting, and becoming part of their small, unusual family. Suddenly, a rustling in the trees made Tom tense. Lumi froze, her glow flaring brightly. Max growled low, standing between them and the source of the sound. A figure emerged, crouching low, a human but not like Tom. The figure wore dark clothing and moved with precision. Tom instinctively placed himself in front of Lumi. "Who are you?" he demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. The figure raised hands slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you." "But we need to talk about the child," the stranger said. Tom's heart pounded. He didn't trust strangers, especially ones who had found them so quickly. Lumi's glow pulsed nervously. Tom crouched slightly, keeping her behind him. "She's not just a child," he said firmly. "She's my responsibility. I won't let anyone take her without understanding who she is and what she needs. We've survived this long because we think, we plan, and we protect each other." Lumi pressed closer, her small hand glowing on his chest. He smiled faintly. "And together we can face whatever comes." Lumi made a soft trill and Max nuzzled her. Together they sat in silence, listening to the forest around them. Tom realized something important that night. The threats would keep coming, but he had something stronger than any drone or intruder. He had trust, ingenuity, and courage, the tools that humans had relied on for centuries. And he had Lumi, whose abilities, combined with their own determination, made them a team unlike any other. By dawn, Tom had a plan. They would move carefully, create more decoys, and find a safer location, somewhere they could watch, prepare, and respond. The world outside was dangerous, but inside they were strong. Humans could think, adapt, and protect. And with Lumi learning quickly, their chances of survival were higher than ever. As the sun rose, painting the forest in gold, Tom looked at Lumi. "We'll make it," he whispered. "No matter who comes for you, we'll keep you safe." She glowed in response, her tiny hands clutching his shirt. Max wagged his tail, his presence a constant reassurance. For the first time, Tom felt a deep certainty. They weren't just hiding, they were preparing. And in that preparation, humanity's greatest strength shone brightest: courage, cleverness, and the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. And somewhere far above, silent watchers scanned the earth. They would come again. But Tom, Lumi, and Max would be ready. They were more than just a man, a dog, and a lost alien girl. They were a team, and humanity's spirit was on full display. The next morning, the forest was calm, but Tom knew the peace would not last. Lumi was awake early, glowing softly as she moved beside him. Max was already pacing, his tail stiff, his nose twitching. Tom rubbed his eyes and sipped water from a bottle. He had a plan, but he needed to move quickly. "They're coming," he whispered. Lumi tilted her head, her large purple eyes glowing brighter. Tom could feel her fear, and in response, he steadied his own heartbeat. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and ingenuity, courage, and quick thinking had always won the day. Today would be no different. They packed light, food, water, some electronics, and a few handmade gadgets Tom had created for defense. Lumi seemed to understand, mimicking the packing motions, her small hands glowing softly as she touched each item. Max carried a small satchel in his mouth, wagging his tail, eager but alert. As they moved through the forest, Tom noticed strange disturbances: broken branches, shallow impressions in the soil, and faint hums in the air. Someone or something had passed through recently. He signaled Lumi to stay close and Max to be quiet. They crouched behind a large tree, watching as several drone-like objects glided silently above the treetops. "They're scouting," Tom said quietly. Lumi's glow pulsed in agreement. He could feel her sensing the presence of these intruders even before he could see them clearly. Her abilities were remarkable, and Tom realized that together they had an advantage many others would underestimate. They moved cautiously, using the forest to their advantage. Tom had mapped out several routes beforehand, hidden paths and small clearings where they could pause and regroup. Lumi followed precisely, her small body nimble and silent. Max ran ahead briefly, checking the path, then returned, satisfied that no immediate danger lay in front of them. By late afternoon, they reached a small abandoned cabin at the edge of the forest. It wasn't much, walls creaking, windows dusty, but it offered cover and some security. Tom set up a basic perimeter with simple traps and alarms, wires strung across the floor to trip intruders, small mirrors and lights to signal movement, and a few of the glowing decoys he had made earlier. Lumi helped, touching the devices, her energy giving them a subtle power, enhancing their effectiveness. They spent the evening preparing. Tom taught Lumi to stay low and silent, to understand his gestures, and to use her own abilities subtly to protect herself. She was a fast learner. Her glow could distract or confuse intruders, and Tom knew it could also communicate silently between them. Max sat beside her, protective and alert, sensing every movement in the cabin and outside. As night fell, the sky darkened and the stars shimmered above. Tom stepped outside briefly to scout the area. The drones were gone for now, but faint signals from above suggested reinforcements were near. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility. Humanity's strength was not in brute force alone, but in strategy, courage, and the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. He had all of that, and he would need it. Back inside, Lumi was exploring the cabin, touching old furniture and the walls. Her glow illuminated the room softly, making the shadows dance. Tom watched her, feeling a deep bond forming. She had come to trust him fully, calling him Dad in her own silent way. It was a trust he intended to honor, no matter the danger outside. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, different from the forest sounds. Tom froze. Lumi's glow flared brightly, and Max growled, moving to the nearest window. Outside, he could see shapes in the sky, ships, larger than drones, hovering just above the treetops. They were unmistakably alien, but not like Lumi, sleek, angular, and menacing. Tom swallowed hard. "They're here," he whispered. Lumi pressed herself against him, glowing in alarm. He knew they couldn't hide from this, not entirely. He needed a plan that used everything humans had: courage, intelligence, and adaptability. He turned to Lumi. "We need to show them something," he said softly. "Not just force, not just hiding. We need to show them you're safe here and that humans can think and care." Lumi tilted her head, her glow dimming slightly in thought. She touched his chest, as if agreeing. Tom quickly improvised. He set up a series of lights and reflective panels in the clearing outside, connecting them with the glowing decoys and a few small electric circuits. He hoped it would create a signal, something alien enough to confuse their pursuers but controlled enough to avoid harming Lumi. Max watched closely, ready to intervene if anything went wrong. The alien ships descended closer. Tom held Lumi's hand tightly. She hummed softly, the vibration resonating through him. He realized they could combine their abilities. Lumi could amplify his signals, make the decoys more convincing, and add her own energy patterns. Together, they could communicate indirectly through light, movement, and resonance. As the first ship hovered directly above, Tom triggered the system. Lights flashed, panels reflected, and the decoys glowed brilliantly. Lumi's energy pulsed in perfect rhythm, sending a complex signal that was more than just light. It was a message. The ship hesitated, then tilted, scanning, confused by the unusual display. Tom felt his heart race. Max barked sharply, as if cheering him on. Then, unexpectedly, the ship projected a holographic form, alien, humanoid, but clearly different from Lumi. Its voice resonated in the clearing, though the words were not in any human language. Tom held Lumi close, feeling her pulse, her energy communicating a message of trust and caution. Slowly, the alien seemed to understand. Its body language changed, less threatening, more curious. Tom stepped forward carefully. "We don't want conflict," he said calmly. "She's safe here, she trusts us. We can protect her and help anyone who comes with peace." The alien tilted its head, considering. Lumi's glow pulsed softly, adding weight to his words. It was as if her presence gave him authority, showing that humans could bond, understand, and protect beyond what technology alone could accomplish. After a tense moment, the ship's holographic figure retreated slightly. Tom let out a quiet breath. "That's it, Lumi, you did it," she hummed, a sound of joy and relief. Max wagged his tail furiously, nudging her playfully. The three of them shared a quiet moment of triumph, but Tom knew the danger wasn't over. More ships could arrive, and the people or beings searching for Lumi might not be as patient. He realized he had to prepare for more direct encounters. He spent the next few hours reinforcing the cabin, creating hidden exits, and teaching Lumi to use her abilities defensively. She could manipulate small objects, create light signals, and even produce minor disturbances to distract intruders. Tom smiled faintly. "You're learning fast," he said. Lumi glowed brightly, her small hands clasping his shirt. Max barked once, as if agreeing. Humanity's strength, Tom realized, lay not just in technology or weapons, but in creativity, courage, and the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. Night fell again, and the forest was quiet. For a moment, it felt like they were safe. Tom watched Lumi sleep beside him, her glow dim but steady. Max lay at her feet, alert but calm. He thought about the future, the challenges, the ships, the beings searching for her. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he also knew something powerful. A human heart combined with courage, ingenuity, and empathy could face even the unknown. Somewhere far above, a new signal flickered in the dark sky. Reinforcements were coming, but Tom Harper, Lumi, and Max were ready. They had each other, and together they could face anything. Humanity's resilience and wisdom had carried them through countless challenges before, and now it would protect a small alien girl who had found a family in the unlikeliest of places. As Tom lay down, watching the stars, he felt a quiet determination. They were not just surviving, they were demonstrating what it meant to be human. Resourceful, brave, and compassionate. And with Lumi by his side, they were more than a family, they were a force to be reckoned with. The night was long, but inside the small cabin, light and warmth glowed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new dangers, and perhaps new allies. But for now, they rested. Tom held Lumi close, Max curled around them both, and for the first time he felt truly confident in their ability to face whatever the universe might throw at them. Together, they were strong. Together, they were family. And together, humanity's spirit shone brighter than any technology, any threat, or any darkness that approached. The forest was silent in the early morning light, but Tom Harper knew the calm would not last. Lumi stirred beside him, glowing faintly, sensing the tension in the air. Max padded restlessly around them, sniffing the wind, ears twitching. Tom had a plan, but this day would be the real test. Alien reinforcements were close. He could feel it, not just in the hum of the air, but in Lumi's body, in Max's alertness, in his own pulse. "We need to be ready," he whispered. Lumi reached up, touching his chest, her glow brightening in agreement. Max barked once, low and urgent, as if to confirm. Tom knew they weren't just going to hide anymore. They had to face this directly, and show that humanity, combined with care and ingenuity, could be stronger than any threat. By mid-morning, strange shapes appeared in the sky above the forest. Sleek, angular ships, far larger than any drones they had encountered before, hovered silently. They moved with precision, scanning every corner of the clearing. Tom crouched beside Lumi, keeping her behind him, while Max growled low. Tom activated the decoys he had prepared, scattering them in patterns around the clearing. Lights flashed, wires hummed, and the small devices emitted subtle pulses that mimicked Lumi's energy signature. He watched as the ships adjusted their course, confused by the multiple signals. Then he glanced at Lumi. "Time to help," he said softly. The little girl's glow pulsed faster, brighter, and suddenly the air around them seemed to vibrate. Small objects, twigs, leaves, even pebbles, hovered briefly before settling back to the ground. Tom realized she was amplifying the signals, creating patterns the aliens could interpret but could not attack directly. He smiled. "Good job, Lumi. Keep it steady." Tom stepped forward, keeping Lumi safely behind him. "We're not here to fight," he said calmly, projecting confidence. "She is safe, she trusts us, and we want peace. She is more than power, she is trust, care, and life. We are capable of understanding that." The holographic figure paused, scanning. Tom held his breath. Max stood alert, tail stiff, ready to protect but obedient to Tom's signals. Then slowly the alien lowered its hands. A subtle shift in posture indicated understanding, or at least recognition of the unusual display. Tom continued, taking careful steps forward. "We can work together. Humans are not only capable of survival, we are capable of care, loyalty, and cooperation. You see the child's bond with us. That bond shows our nature. If you take her by force, it will break, not only trust, but the future that she represents." Tom realized she was adding her own energy to the demonstration, showing that humans and her species could communicate, coexist, and protect each other. Even the alien seemed to hesitate, unsure how to respond. Max barked sharply, breaking the tension momentarily, and Tom laughed quietly. "Even he agrees," he said. Lumi's glow dimmed briefly, as if sharing in the humor before brightening again. For several tense minutes, the clearing was silent except for the hum of the forest, Lumi's soft vibrations, and the quiet noises of the alien ships adjusting their positions. Then the holographic figure spoke, or rather gestured. The meaning was clear, they recognized the bond. They would not attack, at least not now. Tom exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. "We can do this," he whispered. Lumi pressed against him, small hands clutching his shirt, and Max nuzzled her protectively. Together, they had demonstrated that courage, ingenuity, and care could stand against forces far stronger than themselves. The largest ship hovered, then began to ascend slowly, followed by the smaller ships. The alien figure nodded once, then vanished. Tom watched until the last shimmer disappeared into the sky. The immediate threat was gone, for now they were safe. But Tom knew they could not rely on luck forever. He needed a more permanent solution, somewhere Lumi could live safely, learn, and grow. They returned to the cabin, packing up the decoys and gadgets. Lumi hummed softly, moving with precision now, clearly understanding their routines. Max followed, alert but calm. By evening, they arrived back at the small house on Maple Street. Tom set up a more secure area for Lumi, using blankets, soft furniture, and some electronics to monitor outside movement. She explored cautiously, then settled beside him, glowing softly. Max curled around both of them, a constant reminder of loyalty and protection. Tom realized something important as he watched them. Humanity's greatest strength was not technology or weapons alone. It was creativity, courage, and the ability to care for others. Alone, humans could survive. Together, they could overcome impossible odds. And with Lumi by their side, that strength had reached a new level. Over the next few days, Tom worked on communication methods with Lumi. Using simple light patterns, humming sequences, and small gestures, they began to exchange more complex ideas. She could now indicate wants, emotions, and even simple instructions. Tom marveled at her intelligence and adaptability, realizing that humans were capable of bonding across species in ways that transcended language or biology. Max became more than a protector. He was a bridge between them. Lumi responded to his presence, learned from his behaviors, and even began mimicking him. She wagged a small, glowing appendage when she was happy, just as Max wagged his tail. Tom laughed at their little routines, heart swelling with warmth. Then one morning, a new signal appeared in the sky. Tom tensed but remained calm. He had prepared for this. Lumi's glow brightened, signaling awareness. Max barked sharply. Tom knelt beside Lumi. "Stay close. We've handled this before. We'll handle it again." Using a combination of decoys, light patterns, and Lumi's energy, they created a display that communicated safety and trust. The aliens paused, scanning, then slowly descended to a distance, observing. Tom stepped forward, showing confidence and calm. "You see her trust," he said aloud. "You see her bond with us. That is proof. Humans can protect, nurture, and cooperate. We are not just beings of survival. We are beings of care." They had survived, not through violence, but through understanding, courage, and ingenuity. That evening, Tom sat with Lumi and Max under the stars. He reflected on what had happened, the drones, the ships, the holographic figures. They had faced forces far more advanced than themselves, yet human creativity, care, and courage had prevailed. Lumi hummed softly, and he felt the resonance in his chest. She had chosen him, trusted him, and now called him Dad in her own way. "It's over," he whispered. Lumi's glow brightened, a small trill escaping her lips in agreement. Max wagged his tail, resting his head on her lap. Tom smiled. Humanity had faced countless challenges before. They had survived, adapted, and thrived. And now he realized humans could extend that strength beyond their own kind, even to those from distant stars. In the following weeks, Tom and Lumi settled into a new routine. She learned to communicate more clearly, explored her abilities in controlled ways, and bonded with Max. Tom taught her simple concepts about Earth, human culture, and friendship. Together, they were a family, ordinary in one sense, extraordinary in another. Word of unusual sightings faded as the aliens retreated, leaving them in peace. Tom knew the universe was vast, and dangers could return, but they were ready. They had proven that human courage, intelligence, and empathy could meet even interstellar challenges. On a quiet evening, Tom, Lumi, and Max sat on the porch looking at the stars. Lumi's glow reflected softly in the night, a gentle reminder of how far she had come and how far humanity could reach. Tom reached out, holding her small hand. "We'll face whatever comes," he said softly. Lumi hummed, a sound of joy and agreement. Max wagged his tail, resting beside them. They were a family. They were safe, and humanity had shown its brightest light, not in weapons or technology, but in love, courage, and the ability to protect and nurture even the most extraordinary life. And as the stars twinkled above, Tom knew one thing for certain. They were ready for the future together.